The African savanna stretched endlessly under a pale morning sky, its golden grass swaying gently in the warm breeze. Hidden within a cluster of thorny bushes, 3 newborn lion cubs lay pressed against each other, their eyes barely open, their small bodies trembling with the cold of the night that had just passed. Their mother lay beside them, exhausted, her ribs visible beneath her thinning coat. She had not eaten in days. The savanna, usually generous with life, had turned harsh and unforgiving, and prey had become scarce for miles around. As the sun climbed higher, the lioness rose to her feet. Every movement seemed to cost her strength she barely had. She looked down at her cubs one last time, her eyes carrying something between guilt and desperation. She knew what she had to do. Without food, none of them would survive the coming days. With a final glance, she turned and disappeared into the tall grass, leaving her 3 cubs alone and unprotected in the vast openness of the savanna. The cubs, unaware of the danger their mother's absence brought, huddled closer together. Their small cries went unanswered. The savanna around them, calm just moments ago, now felt enormous and threatening. Every rustle of grass, every distant sound, sent a wave of fear through their tiny bodies. They had no claws sharp enough, no strength to defend themselves, nothing but instinct telling them to stay hidden and still. It didn't take long before a new presence arrived. A tiger, easily one of the most powerful predators anywhere, moved slowly across the grassland, his nose lifted, catching a scent carried by the wind. He was hungry too, his stomach empty from a failed hunt the night before. The scent leading him forward was unmistakable, the smell of something small, weak, and vulnerable. His pace quickened as he followed the trail, drawing closer to the source with every step. Within minutes, he reached the bushes where the 3 cubs lay trembling. They froze the moment they sensed him, their small bodies pressed tightly together, hearts pounding uncontrollably. To any observer, this appeared to be the end. A massive predator, driven by hunger, had found 3 defenseless cubs with no mother in sight to protect them. There seemed to be no possible way this encounter could end without tragedy. But something unexpected happened. The tiger stopped just a few feet away from the cubs. He lowered his head, sniffing carefully, studying them with an intensity that seemed to search for something more than just a meal. His eyes, sharp and predatory only moments before, softened slightly as he observed the tiny, helpless creatures in front of him. Rather than lunging forward, he sat down, his massive frame now forming an unlikely barrier between the cubs and the open savanna beyond. Minutes passed in tense silence. The cubs remained still, unsure of what this strange, towering presence meant for them. Then, carried on the wind, came the distant, unsettling calls of hyenas. Their high-pitched cries echoed across the grassland, growing louder as they approached, drawn perhaps by the same scent that had led the tiger here. For the cubs, already vulnerable and alone, this was a moment of pure danger. Hyenas were known for hunting in numbers, showing little mercy to anything small or weak. The tiger's ears twitched at the sound. He rose slightly, his body tensing, eyes scanning the tall grass in the direction of the calls. Yet he did not move away. Instead, he remained close to the cubs, positioning his body as if standing guard. Whether driven by instinct, curiosity, or something harder to explain, the tiger seemed determined to hold his ground. The hyena calls grew closer for a few tense moments, then gradually faded into the distance, moving elsewhere in search of other prey. The savanna fell quiet once again. The tiger remained seated, watching the cubs closely. They had stopped trembling now, though they still didn't dare move. Time passed slowly, the sun shifting higher in the sky, casting long shadows across the grass. Then, from a distance, a low, weak growl echoed across the plain. The lioness was returning. She emerged from the tall grass, her steps slow and unsteady, but her eyes immediately locked onto the scene ahead. Her cubs were alive. And beside them sat a tiger, one of the most formidable predators she could have imagined encountering. Every instinct in her body screamed danger, yet she noticed something odd. Her cubs weren't in distress. They weren't crying out in fear. They were simply lying there, safe, calm, protected. The tiger turned his head as the lioness approached. For a moment, the two predators locked eyes, an intense, silent exchange passing between them. Neither growled, neither postured for a fight. It was as if an unspoken understanding existed between them, one built not on rivalry, but on something rarer, a shared recognition of vulnerability in life. The lioness took a few cautious steps forward, her body low, ready to react if needed. The tiger did not move aggressively. He simply watched her, patient and calm. Slowly, the tension between them eased. The lioness reached her cubs, nuzzling each one gently, checking that they were unharmed. Relief washed over her exhausted body. The cubs, sensing their mother's presence, immediately pressed against her, their small cries turning into soft sounds of comfort. Throughout this reunion, the tiger remained still, watching from a short distance, almost as if ensuring the family's safety until the very last moment. Once the lioness had settled beside her cubs, the tiger finally rose to his feet. Without another glance, he turned and walked away, disappearing back into the vastness of the savanna from which he had come. No confrontation, no violence, only a quiet departure, leaving behind a family reunited and safe. The lioness lay down beside her cubs, gathering them close, using what little strength she had left to comfort them. She had left in desperation, driven by hunger and fear for their survival, and had returned to find them alive, protected by an encounter she could never have predicted. Whether instinct, chance, or something science cannot fully explain, one of nature's most powerful predators had chosen mercy over hunger, guarding 3 vulnerable lives instead of ending them. As the sun began to set over the endless grassland, the family remained together, the danger of the day behind them. The savanna, vast and unpredictable, had once again proven that even in its harshest moments, unexpected moments of protection and compassion can emerge, reminding us that survival in the wild is not always defined by strength alone, but sometimes by choices that defy every expectation.